Hello everybody, welcome back to another video. I'm hoping you guys are all having a fantastic day. So in today's video, as you can tell by the title, we will be talking about this large system. I am rather concerned about this one. There are a few characteristics with this that could be a bit dangerous. There could be quite a bit of flooding across certain areas. I'm not trying to warn anyone. Not trying to. Well, I am trying to warn someone. I'm not trying to make anyone panic because we all have, at least if you've been reading the news, we all have that Kentucky flooding fresh in our memory. Just absolutely devastating. I think more than 20, 25 people were killed, and there are still more missing. And I don't want to say that this will happen again, but it's definitely a possibility for more flooding headaches to be occurring. A different region this time, not in Kentucky. And then I'll also be going over future storms that could be occurring into this upcoming week, and I will be giving you pretty much daily uploads as well on that. So, yeah, I'm excited to, I guess, talk about the weather, but, it may maybe not be the most exciting thing for people, what I'm about to show you. So, let's start talking about this. First off, National Weather Service. This is the Weather Ready Nation map, and do note that we have several areas of heat that are really the Northeast, the Central U.S., and across the Northwest. You can see that several areas here, especially further inland. Let's click on right there, Moses Lake. Have extreme heat warnings, excessive heat warnings, sorry, and that is for Monday through Tuesday, though today you can see, well, it's pretty much over today, but tomorrow, Sunday, 96, that's very hot. Look at that, 102, 104 for the Northwest, that's very, very warm, very, very hot. Now, it is, I think, yeah, it's a lower valley basin area, so it is exaggerated a bit more, the heat. Do note that, cities like Seattle, you won't be in the hundreds, but you definitely could be in the 90s, 88, wouldn't be surprised if that, one of those days at least it goes to a 90. And across the Northeast, we have some pretty nasty temperatures, and that is producing, widespread 90s. I do believe there probably will be some hundreds here as well. Maybe not Boston, but you can see still very warm, 94, 93, with humidity that's probably decently high. I'm assuming, yeah, 57. That's definitely uncomfortable. That's not a nice humidity. That's going to lead to some, dangerous conditions in terms of being outdoors. Notice in terms of flooding, the Southwest, obviously constant. I mean, this whole year has been an incredible year for the monsoons. So many storms, and there's really no signs that it will be stopping. Not the best news for folks that have to deal with flash flooding, mudslides, landslides, but it's pretty good for the hydrologic issue. Lake Mead water levels have slightly risen. Really, I think it's just a few inches, but at least they've ceased, to keep falling. Again, the monsoons won't really reverse the whole track of the drought, but it's definitely something that is beneficial. Notice today the front range of the Rockies are really getting hammered with some pretty nasty storms, so that's that. And then of course right here we have this heat bubble, and on the northern side of that, this is where I'm the most concerned about the system, the storm that I'm talking about. Here you can see we have widespread flash floods, and this isn't just for one day. This could be stretched out across several days. I do believe that this flood watch is just through 10 a.m. tomorrow, but I guarantee you that they'll be issuing more, as this could last for several days. And you can see that some of these storms are already firing up. Let me show you on a different radar here. Notice these are firing up. This may not look like a flash flooding event, and the thing is that this by itself wouldn't be, but there's going to be many waves of these storms and many more forming towards the back end. It could just continue for several days, and that could lead to some pretty bad flash flooding. What limits this from being as bad as what we saw in Kentucky? Well, here are more mountainous areas, mountainous terrains, so that exaggerated the water flows. Here it's more flat. Still though, there are predictions already from the La Crosse weather office, and especially I was looking here in Milwaukee. Do note that they're forecasting up to 4.5 inches of rain. You know that within a small area there will be more because of how thunderstorms work, and if you have a forecast of 5 inches, you could probably expect reasonably in one area to at least get double digits, which would be obviously very bad, but honestly pretty realistic. So let me start tracking this for you. So I have the HER model pulled up. It's a high range model. It's a high res model. It doesn't go, did I say high range? It's not high range. It's high res, meaning it picks up little tiny thunderstorms, to the best ability. I want to show you what this thing does. So notice that it's underdoing a bit of the activity. It is 7 p.m. when I'm recording this. This is what it shows at 7. You can see a lot less activity than what is going on. Whatever, this model still is probably the best one to use. And it's, just really a few hours behind as it starts showing those storms erupting. And notice this erupts into the night. So a lot of these won't be too awfully severe. There is a slight risk. But again, I'm more concerned about that flooding. Do note as I zoom in onto the north central United States, we just see a whole train of these these storms erupting into Minnesota, Wisconsin, and this is just a perfect setup. I mean, one after the other coming through, and this would be a lot if if this was all. But notice that well into the overnight hours, this continues. How far south or north this goes maybe affects Chicago, northern Illinois. Maybe it's further north. That's that remains to be seen. But the whole orientation of this moving west to east definitely won't be changing. And notice that this starts affecting areas further south, but still raining back there across Minnesota. And eventually you may think, oh, it's over. And you see even more development, more storms, more showers. It doesn't cease, and they still have that same, unfortunate west to east movement, which doesn't help out because, those storms will be probably going over areas that have had already a lot of rain, and there could be even some more activity late on Monday. So let's take a look at the total accumulated precipitation. Again, don't look at this and take this too, I guess, with too much accuracy. It is targeting, right there where Iowa, Minnesota, and Wisconsin border, but this could be further north, further south, this axis, and honestly, all you need is just a few decent thunderstorms, even, way further north, and you could get some flash flooding issues. But notice that they are showing the HRRR model, 6, 7, 8 inches. That's definitely going to cause some flooding, hopefully nothing too significant, and hopefully, the thunderstorms manage to, trek in a way that no single area gets absolutely slammed, but do expect the rivers and creeks to be swollen with water. I wouldn't say records. This area has been relatively dry, hasn't been too wet the past few weeks. So the rivers are running relatively low, or at least normal. Definitely, I wouldn't say higher unless you got a thunderstorm in one certain area. But as a general area, not too bad. I can show you a bit more. Let's take a look at FV3. You can see this model is also a good one, but it shows it much further towards the north and also over wider area. That's definitely a possibility. 12 km model, you can see also a bit towards the north and across a wider area. That's also a possibility. Though, as I'm looking at this on this interactive radar, a lot of these storms are developing relatively far to the south, so I wouldn't be surprised if it is more of a solution like the HRRR model was showing, more of a southern maybe event. Again, though, not by much, and even if it doesn't really change your main message whatsoever. And let me go back now and show you what the high-res European model shows. So this is a long-range model, and again, the system itself is way up here across Canada, causing some pretty nasty winds and some showers, but it's really the cold front of the system that starts developing, and it's really getting dragged. This high pressure is keeping it from going quickly to the south. Kind of the same story that we had across Kentucky, a stalled cold front, and look, these storms just keep reinvigorating into Sunday, into late Sunday, into, not at this point, very late Sunday, and even into early Monday. Still, these storms are popping off, and we see a little low pressure pretty much that starts to form from the cold front of the system, which is at this point pretty much out of here. And notice that these showers and the storms do continue well into Monday. Right there you can see it finally starting to drag out as it passes through Illinois, Missouri, Indiana, Ohio. And even then, it's still a slow-moving cold front as it drags into portions of the Mid-Atlantic, Ohio Valley, and southern United States. And this is when we see another system on Tuesday. You can see, look at this little guy. He starts pivoting towards the east pretty quickly. It stays relatively far to the north, but what it does do is brings down a little bit of cool air, actually quite a bit for the northeast and southeastern Canada. So that's definitely something to, I guess, look forward to. And do note, as I put this even further, we have yet another system that takes a very similar track. It starts racing towards the east, and this one could be, bringing a bit more thunderstorm activity and whatnot, but also potentially some cooler air in the longer range. So that's definitely something that isn't completely bad. And you can see, right, very warm out ahead of that. You can see, and then once that system passes through, we have nice temperatures there. And granted, that was the EAD right there. You can see 70, 60, that's pretty nice, but anywhere else really, it stays pretty steamy. Let me show you another model that I like to use, similar to the HRRR model, which I was showing you on here. If you recall this model, the one that was a bit more high res. Do note, I was showing you the one at 18Z, the model run, the one that goes out further, but the newest one is now 23Z, and you can see that it's already changed its precip forecast since then. It already shows the axis further into Iowa, and again, it did adjust further towards the south. You could see that it's a bit more southerly oriented. Whether or not that will be the case remains to be seen. Notice that what this one does versus the other one, it does develop these nasty storms, but they're a bit more southern oriented. You can see that wave hits northern Illinois late tonight into Wisconsin. Wisconsin, you're still going to get it, at least southern Wisconsin, even northern portions though. And look, that train right there, whether or not it will develop in such a fashion, we'll see. Maybe. Obviously, if that were to happen, that would be pretty bad. It would be some very high rainfall totals there, and definitely something that we wouldn't really want to see. As you can see, that the total accumulated precip there in some areas is, over potentially 12 inches. That's probably something you don't really want to see. So let's just ignore that for now. But I do want to show you, the RAP model. Again, I was saying this is a pretty good model. It goes out also to 50 hours every 6 hours, and this one's model one that goes out to 51 hours is a bit more recent than the HER model that goes out to 60 hours or 48 hours, as that one's a bit older. So this is, I guess, a bit more up to date. Again, very similar. There's that rain starting to develop, and you can see it kind of trains over the same area for several days before stubbornly starting to move out on Monday. And once it does, it's still a slow moving cold front. In terms of total accumulated precip, obviously targeting these areas the heaviest, and again, you can see an average of 6-7 inches. That's a lot, and especially with thunderstorm activity, again, I would not be surprised to see some areas with isolated double-digit amounts. And you can see it's a decent area. I mean, I know I need some rain. It's been pretty dry, but 1-2 inches, that's all I need. I don't really need 6-7 inches. So hopefully that does not really result in anything too significant. Remember last time, in last video, I was showing you the Weather Prediction Center, and I was saying how they may be issuing a moderate for the flood outlook. I kind of said that. I was kind of wondering after I recorded that video if that was too aggressive, but, looking at that even a few days ago, how the European model was showing that system with that cold front dragging for a few days, it would seem that they would issue a moderate, and they did in fact. So notice that for today, this is what the area looks like. Again, not bad yet because the rain, it's falling on relatively dry areas, so there's a slight, which again still shouldn't be taken with no regards. It's a slight, and again, these may not be always the most accurate. You could still see a few thunderstorms that are very slow moving and whatnot and cause isolated flash flooding. And then do note though that they did issue a moderate for extreme southern Wisconsin, maybe even into northern Illinois. That's pretty high. They usually issue that, and not too often. And I wanted to show you that. So if you live anywhere in that yellow, especially that red, definitely be prepared, as that could that could lead to some problems. Notice the monsoon's also acting up, and day 3 outlook, it's a lot better. Less slight risks, but they're still there. It's the summer, so these flooding events will be pretty much continuing as we go well into fall. As the winter, usually we see a bit less of these kind of out of nowhere events, even though, again, I did say that this was going to happen a few days ago. For some people, if you don't check the weather for a few days, it may catch you off guard. So that's essentially what I wanted to show you. Again, if you were to take a look at the GFS model, I don't think I showed you this one yet. Let me show you this model, and let's see what the future holds. So again, that's that cold front right there. Finally drags out by late Monday into more of the northeast. Again, it doesn't look like a massive storm system, and it really isn't. It's kind of the cold front of the big system. But it's still, the impacts will be pretty significant still. And do note that as I push this forward, we still see day-to-day activity, across the southern United States with those kind of popcorn showers, if you will, daytime heating, little thunderstorms that usually aren't severe but could cause some pretty nasty flooding. Notice the monsoon's pretty much a daily thing, especially towards the midweek, firing up across potentially, Nevada, California, maybe well into even Oregon. So definitely something to watch there. And do note it's a bit more quiet towards the central United States and northern United States. There is a cold front, or a nice little system right there that could drive some cooler air though midweek or mid to late next week. Yeah, I mean, we see constant activity, constant little threats, so we'll have to keep an eye on that. Notice even some tropical activity right there just on the Baja Peninsula, maybe even making the monsoons even worse than they were. More active, meaning, and you can see that the tropics heating up a bit potentially. We see more low pressure spinning up into stronger systems and whatnot, so that's definitely something we will have to watch. And notice as I just speed this forward, we start seeing, or we just continue seeing a pretty active pattern. So, I guess that's good. Quite a bit of rainfall. So no, I guess, worsening of the drought for a majority of the United States. There will be obviously pockets like, Texas right here where they're already pretty bad and they don't really look to get a lot more rain. So that's definitely not good news. But yeah, that's basically all I wanted to show you. Hopefully you guys enjoyed, hopefully you learned something new, and for the most part, hopefully you guys took away something from this that could help you, prepare for this type of event, especially if you live in the area here, but anywhere else where, even across the southwest, right? These storms, I mean, look at them. Some of them are just very, very slow moving, and that's kind of the worst. You can see that's just their nature. They kind of aren't, they don't have that much direction. They've been jumping around for quite a while. They kind of pop up out of nowhere. So, you know, that could definitely drop a lot of rain in a short amount of time that really isn't needed. And could cause some flash flooding, especially in more mountainy areas. Notice the south, I mean, that's kind of like the daytime shower stuff. It could get pretty extensive. Look right there, that's a perfect example, just north of Atlanta. Look at that. Notice it's been raining. What's that little city right there? Alpharetta, Roswell. That's a pretty populated area. You can tell, but kind of by the map, there's a lot of white stuff. So that's definitely probably, you know, houses and whatnot. It's been raining there pretty heavily since 6:50, and it continues raining there. And that storm doesn't look to be moving too much, so that could continue. You know, and in that time, it's probably already dropped a few, maybe an inch or two of water. And if that continues for a while, that could always cause some pretty nasty flash flooding. So that's always something to be on the lookout for. All right, thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next episode. See ya. Bye.